Oceans have always had a sense of mystery and wonder. Throughout history, countless intriguing artifacts have been recovered from the depths. While some discoveries have provided important clues about the past and the ongoing development of our planet, others have raised more questions than they have answers. Let's scuba dive into a few of the ocean's most notable finds from the previous century. While Atlantis is one of the most renowned ocean stories, there are other underwater civilizations to discover. Pavlopetri in Greece is the world's oldest submerged city at 5,000 years old. This town was concealed from humanity for thousands of years until a young oceanographer found its walls 3 to 4 meters below the water. Divers and scientists have spent hundreds of hours investigating the region and believe that it's a Bronze Era village that drowned around 1000 BC and has never reappeared. Experts say that the land displays no traces of being built on or disturbed by agriculture. Buildings, courtyards, streets, and burial sites have been found, along with jars and crockery. The tale of the lost MAHABALIPURAM pagodas have been revitalized thanks to a recent archaeological discovery in India. As punishment for his lack of faith, a young man was forced to construct 7 pagodas, according to legend. This was widely ignored as an urban legend until the enormous and destructive Boxing Day earthquake struck the Indian Ocean in 2004. Before the tsunami struck, the water pushed back from the beach. It shot back towards the ocean, wiping away large clumps of sand and silt and displaying the pagoda's pointy tips. Sculptures, walls, pillars, and stone blocks from these once lost temples have now been uncovered. Although legend has it that the gods destroyed 6 of the 7 original temples because they were envious of the people's wealth and attractiveness. But many people now believe that the coastline erosion and an ancient tsunami were more likely the causes. Much of the ancient world has been lost to human activity or natural processes. Ancient civilizations' walls contain the historical jigsaw pieces we need to understand our origins and development. Before archaeologist Frank Gaudio and his colleagues began hunting for this lost city in 1996 and uncovered its remnants, the ancient city of Heracleion was thought to be the most enormous tale out there. Frank Gaudio, an archaeologist, speculates that the soil crumbled and the town sank over time due to the effects of several natural disasters like earthquakes. Water levels rose far later than expected thanks to climate change, burying the city further and making it difficult to locate. Time had passed and the city was now completely submerged beneath the ocean. As far as the experts are concerned, it hit rock bottom about the year 1500. The expedition discovered many enormous sculptures, including those of the Egyptian goddess Isis, the deity Hapi, and an unnamed Egyptian king, all miraculously preserved by their muddy burial shroud. Several smaller statues of Egyptian gods and the characters who guarded the temple, where Cleopatra as crowned queen of the Nile, joined these 16-foot sculptures. These amazing discoveries give us hope that we may be able to restore some of the greatest historical works of art using the aid of science. The oceans have shrouded another human secret for 2,000 years, adding to the mystery of long-lost civilizations and temples. The ANTIKYTHERA mechanism recovered in a shipwreck in 1901 may be the world's earliest computer, dating to 100 BC. Researchers determined the equipment's original function despite being submerged for millennia. The metal mechanism's Greek inscriptions and 30-gear wheels made it a mechanical wonder. No other complicated geared mechanism existed until the medieval cathedral clocks 1,000 years later. The dial illustrates the Metonic cycle's 235 lunations, spanning 19 years. This helped manage calendars and predict eclipses and other astronomical events. A 4-year dial showed when the first Olympics should have been staged. The ocean has been a fantastic resource for learning about animal evolution and solving puzzles from our ancient past. A whale skeleton with legs was recently discovered in the Sahara Desert of Egypt. Check out our Sahara Desert video for more info on that. Though it is currently somewhat removed from the ocean, this was formerly a prime fossil hunting ground since it was covered by water. The age of the 4-legged whale discovered in the desert is thought to be 43 million years old. Thanks to its adaptable flippers, it could walk on land and swim in the water. This study reveals one stage in the whale's incredible evolutionary journey from herbivorous, deer-like terrestrial creatures to the top predators in the ocean. This process took place over 10 million years. Researchers have found tusk 185 of a Colombian mammoth off the coast of California. Scientists thought the tusk, which was discovered at a depth of roughly 10,000 feet, is well over 10,000 years old. In 2019, Haddock and Mbari submersible pilot Randy Prickett stumbled upon a suspicious 3-foot-long tube that resembled a tusk while scanning the deep waters off California with a remote-operated vehicle. Initially, the two could only gather a fragment of the object that had broken off at that point. It was determined from this piece that the tusk belonged to a female mammoth. Haddock and Prickett returned to the location 2 years later with a team of paleontologists and genetic experts to investigate further. This time, they used the robotic arm of the ROV to capture the complete tusk, which had a thick black crust of naturally formed iron manganese. Researchers were successful in extracting genetic material from the tusk's inner tissue. The scientists identified the species, sex, age of death, and geographic range of the mammoth. But the discoveries have not been reported on publicly yet. The fossil record has also led to the identification of the megalodon, the most giant shark in history. This massive predator possessed fangs 7 inches long and grew to a length of 60 feet, making it 3 times as long as modern great white sharks. It was thought that their bite was the strongest of any animal in history. Aren't you relieved that this species is now extinct? Megalodon tooth fossils have been discovered worldwide. After careful examination, experts have determined that newborn megalodons would have stood a tremendous 6.5 feet tall. Since the mother shark could not have provided adequate nourishment for such a large offspring, the shark embryos would consume their sibling shark embryos for food. While fewer infants were born, those who did survive were healthy and eager to terrorize the oceans. A fish from the deep sea with lamp for a head turned up on a California beach. This nightmare fish is an extremely unusual sighting outside of the deep sea. It is very unusual to see an endangered species in its natural habitat, and scientists still have no idea how the anglerfish would have wound up on the shore. Only 30 anglerfish of this type existed in the world's museums and fish collections. Researchers claim they are typically found thousands of feet deep in the Pacific Ocean. All females sport the species' namesake fishing pole, a protruding section of the dorsal spine that sits just above the mouth. This ingenious rod is tipped with a brilliant piece of flesh to entice unsuspecting victims within striking distance. The anglerfish will employ a glimmering bait to attract food within striking distance of its formidable teeth. Their bodies are so flexible and their jaws are so large that they can eat animals twice their size. Researchers just discovered in the Arctic in the fall of 2021 that the ocean still has many mysteries for humanity to discover. The Halcon project dove 13,000 feet below the Arctic Ocean's surface with the help of a robot submersible. Black smokers are very unusual volcanic vents in the Arctic. This is the first time we have investigated them and the organisms that call them home. The world's active vent fields may be found in this one little area of about 19 square miles, making it a unique and unusual ecosystem. These explorations are becoming increasingly important as nations compete to extract minerals and oil from the ocean below. To make a case for preserving these ecosystems, we must first learn about them. Marine invertebrates generate more antibiotics, anti-inflammatory, and anti-cancer molecules than any terrestrial species. So it's possible that some of the bizarre critters that survive in these harsh settings can provide the basis for future medications. One of Australia's most breathtaking natural wonders is the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef in the world. The reef is composed of more than 3,000 different reef systems and coral cays, as well as hundreds of idyllic tropical islands with some of the most stunning, sun-drenched golden beaches in the world and teeming with marine life. The Great Barrier Reef, which can be seen from space, is the biggest living thing on Earth. Let that sink in for a second. Just close your eyes and imagine viewing it from space. Despite this, researchers discovered that the biggest reef system in the world has experienced a reduction in coral diversity. The largest declines occurred following the 2016 and 2017 major bleaching episodes. There was a greater degree of widespread bleaching in these years' events. More than half of all branching and tablet-shaped coral colonies were found to have collapsed. This year's research confirms that the loss of many adult corals make it difficult for injured coral colonies to recover. With a length of almost 2,300 kilometers, the reef was recognized as having enormous scientific and intrinsic value. However, warmer oceans in the previous decade have caused extensive harm by bleaching coral, scattering marine life, and hastening the spread of algae and other toxins. Aerial inspections of the Great Barrier Reef have revealed extensive bleaching, a significant threat to the World Heritage Site, as described by the marine park's top scientist. While repeated bleaching episodes are predicted to increase as the planet warms, their early occurrences in Australia is a disturbing indicator that most of the world's coral reefs are in danger of extinction. The siphonophore is a group of marine organisms that belong to the Cnidaria phylum. Humans have identified over 200 unique species of siphonophores. Outwardly, they appear similar to jellyfish, but closer inspection reveals that they are a colony of zooids genetically identical. Each individual component of a giant siphonophore serves a specific function. Some segments hunt for food, Some break it down, yet others breed, and still others work as the brains of the operation by directing the swim pattern. When this siphonophore bumps into something, the stem emits a dazzling blue light since it's bioluminescent and makes its own light. These animals are highly delicate because of the many separate, specialized pieces that make them up. Different areas of the colony perform various functions, such as giving off a pulsing signal or stunning and swallowing prey. Siphonophores are most at home in deep water, far from any rough objects that may harm their fragile bodies. We've already revealed many unique and exciting discoveries by investigating our seas. However, there are still many more mysteries waiting to be found. Yet, suppose we want to continue to be thrilled with anticipation, amazement and excitement, or even plain bewilderment when we find them. Let this message be clear: protect our marine ecosystem forever.